Hey, I'm Scotty T from Your Comedy Minute. I have one of my favorite people in the whole world, Mark Mcintyre from Making a Mark Photography. Mark and I were just talking. I've known Mark now 6 or 7 years. Mark, I'm so glad to have you here.
Well, Scotty, I'm glad that after 6 or 7 years, you still talk to me. You have no idea how many people don't. So, no, it's great to be here. I met you some years ago, and
Where, where are you at? Are you in Florida?
I'm all over the place with this photography stuff. Paris, France, or Gettysburg with a Zoom background. We'll call whatever you choose to believe.
Well, a little bird told me you live in Gettysburg. Is it Gettysburg, Pennsylvania? Is that right?
Right outside of Gettysburg, New Oxford, but I tell everyone
New
Gettysburg.
Oxford.
Yeah,
Okay.
nobody knows where Gettysburg is outside of this area, or New Oxford is. So I always go with Gettysburg. Like, yeah, where the
Yeah.
war was. I said yes.
Okay. And let's start by talking about making a mark photography. Um, how long have you been a photographer?
Photographer in non-professionally, probably 30 years.
Okay.
Easily 30 years. Professionally, I did my first official professional photography like 7 years, almost 8 years ago.
Okay.
My wife really pushed me. She said, "You're an idiot for not doing it and offering it out to people." And that's how it started. So it always, like your fans support you. She was really my main supporter. So about 8 years.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you have a like in other words, I know you probably and I've seen, by the way, I'm going to include all of Mark's links. He has Instagram, Facebook, making Mark photography on all of those and whatever links that I can put up there and any contact information. But my question was when you shoot a wedding versus shooting prom pictures, I would think the wedding is a lot more detailed.
I will tell you what, every time that I shoot a wedding, I have a feeling almost excitement slash sickness in my stomach because you can't exactly in the middle of the wedding if you miss the
Right, right.
groom kissing, you can't say, can you do that again? I missed the shot. So I
Yeah.
put the pressure on myself. I have what it takes to do the weddings. I've shot, oh my gosh, few hundred. But at the same time, the pressure I put on myself, it is just a little bit of more pressure. So I don't want to miss the shot ever. I'm
Right.
a bit of a perfectionist, I guess you could say.
Well, I was just going to say, Mark, I've known you a while, and I think we're like me with, and you've been on enough of my where the lighting, and even now, my lighting's not nearly as good. I'm always wrestling with lighting and sound and picture, and do you do just? I'm curious. Do you do video as well?
I haven't done video. I just had a conversation last evening about getting started on the video. I have a
Yeah.
good friend, lives up in York, actually, up your way. And he
Okay.
is going to introduce me to his studio, teach me some video. But as of right now, mostly, I'd say 75% are weddings, the other 25% senior photography. So they're
Senior
fun.
photography.
People are enjoying a wedding. People are enjoying senior photography, and so they're what I really focus on the most.
Okay. And do you have a do you have like a favorite moment? And then on the opposite side, do you have like a least favorite moment?
Let me start with the least favorite moment. My very first wedding I ever shot was for a friend. Her daughter, her wedding photographer, checked out 1 month before the wedding. She came to me
Okay.
crying. She's like, "Mark, so my daughter's photographer checked out." So I'm set up. I got the new camera. I got the new lens. I got the flash on there. And 15 minutes before I was going to take the first photo, I was messing with my flash, holding on to my flash. My $2,000 camera, my $1,500 lens. The flash detached, the camera fell lens down like this and ruined the $1,500 lens I was using to photograph that day. And it was a zoom lens, so I could stand back and still get it. I almost threw up right there in the church. And that's no lie. I had my second shooter with me. He's been with me, AJ, from the start. And
Okay.
he said, "Mark, I'll give you my lens." I said, "No, I don't. I don't need it. I have another backup, of course, because that's it's equipment. You got to have a backup joke.
Right,
Just like
right.
I need backup lenses." And so yeah, that was probably my least favorite ever at my very first wedding. So that's how I started. and I haven't dropped the camera or lens since that time. So yeah.
Well, and you mentioned it, and I actually was looking up this morning. I was going to try and find a couple photographer jokes, and I clicked on some things, and they were talking about that a photographer before a shoot, and I have a friend of mine, David Snowden, who's a photographer for the government, and that stress has got to be unreal, especially at a wedding.
Yep. Again, you don't want to miss that shot. You're not getting it back, and they're paying you top the dollar
Right,
for
right.
your services. So it's like you can set up like your jokes. It's all about delivery, and that's really what's
Yeah. The longer I've been doing this, Mark, you've been with me, and thank you. Mark was nice enough to send me a microphone, which has really paid dividends. But and we'll get on to your, one of your favorites, but I had to, as you were telling that, and again, I'm getting old. I'm up there, and I've done a lot of drinking and drugs in my life. Um, what was I saying? As you were telling that story, something flashed into my head about like my worst experience with a photographer, and this is true. Right as you were, telling it about, you dropping the lens, dropping the camera. ZZ Top,
all right.
Hershey, Pennsylvania. I got my sister, my oldest, my oldest sister. I want to impress her.
Absolutely.
Take her to the show. I'm working for RCA. The guy, I think you know what's going to happen here, don't you? I get my sister backstage. I'm proud. I got Billy Gibbons there. I got Dusty. I got the Frank Beard. I got the guys. We take pictures. The guy from RCA comes in Monday and says, "Scotty, you're gonna kill me. I didn't have film in the camera."
Wow. Wow.
To
Hey,
this,
ZZ Top, can you come
I
back
don't,
quick? I need to get a
speak
couple
to him
more
anymore.
photos.
My sister can tell people she met ZZ Top, but she doesn't have a picture to commemorate it.
Picture says 1,000 words,
Yeah. My son had a 2,000 word essay. He gave the teacher 2 pictures.
Wow. Wow.
Humor. So go ahead with do you have a couple favorite moments that
I
um,
think I think one of my most favorites ever. I'm on vacation down at the beach. Got up in the morning and was out taking some sunrise photos. I don't sleep in when I'm down there. Fear of missing out of that beautiful sunrise. And so I'm out on the beach taking sunrise photos, and I see a couple. She's in somewhat of a wedding gown, and he's in a pair of shorts but a tie. And they were going out for a sunrise wedding ceremony, and I looked around. They didn't have a photographer, and
wow.
I stood there for a few minutes and thought, "Nah, don't interfere, Mark. Don't interfere." Oh, who am I? I always interfere.
Yeah, I know
Always.
you. Yeah,
And
you're
so I
in there.
did.
You're going.
I went out. I said, "Hey," I said, "sorry to interrupt before you guys get started. I see you don't have a camera here, except for a couple cell phones. Do you mind if I take photos of you?" And they said, "We don't have any money to give to you." And I said, "I didn't ask if I can have some money from you. I said, do you mind if I take some photos of you?" So I did. So I photographed their whole entire thing and sent it to them, little flash drive with their edited photos when I got home. And they were beyond grateful. And sometimes I could have walked by, I could have went back and got on with my day, but I would have always wondered how that wedding turned out. So I was there, and it was a good experience, just slowing down sometimes, doing something nice, and the smiles on their faces. I assume the smile on their faces were from each other, but I like to think a little bit was from me. And
Mark,
but
I
yeah.
guarantee it. That story warms my heart. That's Mark Mcintyre right there, folks.
Well,
That's boy, you don't get better than that. That's
just slow down
sending
sometimes.
me a microphone, or again, 6 7 years of knowing you. What I love about Mark, and I think for any of you that want to or consider and get a photographer, Mark is one of the most bubbly, energetic, smiling, laughing. In all my experiences with Mark, I don't know that I've ever seen you down. It's amazing. I don't know what kind of drugs or what you're
I
on.
was just gonna say it's same like you mentioned, drugs and alcohol. But no, seriously, it's about where you start. I worked at Home Depot before meeting you at Lowe's, and I saw the same guy every morning. Every morning I'd go in and he'd say, Mark, how you doing today? At 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm exciting, I'm fantastic. It's great. And so finally, about 6 months later, he said, Mark, we work the same place. He stopped me after I said it. No, we work the same place. He said,
Right.
we work with the same people, the same customers. He said, man, every day I ask you, you're fantastic, you're excellent. He said, how are you so excellent? And I looked at him right in the face, like I'm looking at you. I said, Jim, I said, if I don't start the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning at excellent or fantastic,
Right.
there's no way in hell by the time I get off work at 3 o'clock that I'm going to be okay. If I come in at okay, so it's a little bit of attitude, and then the rest of drugs and
Well,
alcohol.
you were the head of the pro desk at Lowe's when we worked together. And I
I
can remember coming up there and trying to do the joke of the day, and you're having your meeting like, shut the hell up, Scotty. A couple
Yes,
times. I mean, you always liked my jokes, but there were times my timing was a little off.
yes, absolutely. Well, it worked out. It worked out well for both of us. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and really, without our
Can I tell him, Mark? I mean, it's public knowledge. I got fired from Lowe's for telling jokes.
I was too nice, just as you said a minute ago. I was too friendly with my associates. So, without our, you know, God rest his soul, and I know he's still alive, but without our assistant manager, we'd be nothing. So hi,
Well,
John.
and I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this. I shouldn't do it, but Jeremy is a piece of shit. Jeremy is a very bad guy.
Yeah.
Jeremy did you in, and he did me in.
Yeah.
He was responsible for you and me.
I remember, but it's okay. We're a much better position in
Oh
places
yeah,
now.
no, you know what? That's funny you'd say that because every time, because that was a real blow to my ego. I've never been fired before. I've always been, manager of the year. I've always been,
Absolutely.
top guy. I'm like you. I go in, I'm positive,
Bubbly, you
whatever.
are.
And to get fired like that, man, I came home and I was just devastated. And it took me a few months of licking my wounds and finally saying, everyone says you're funny. Maybe try the comedy. 4 years later.
Absolutely. And here we are. Here you are. So, like you, my photography business has grown, over the years, because that's just what happens naturally.
Right.
Do you know your view count? And I'm putting you a little bit on the spot, because
Do
I've
I
always
know my view count?
your total views from all your platforms.
Well, I know I've got over 5 million on YouTube. And I don't know if you know this, but you asked me. Do you know that one of my jokes on Instagram went to 350,000?
No, I did not. 350,000 to go viral like that.
And you know what's funny about that, Marcus? And I've been busting my butt over here on YouTube and Instagram, Facebook. Facebook kicked me off 9 times. You know that in 1 year, which is Instagram. It's all Meta. It's all Zuckerberg. So screw them. And
Right.
I think, and same with Twitter, X. I'm not a social media guy. I don't like people. I barely like you, Mark. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, yeah, and I'll do the joke for you. It's really bad.
All right,
And
good.
that's what I'm finding out. The longer I do it, the dirtier, the nastier, the better. That's the
Absolutely.
people. I'm going to do a dirty reel today, a dark reel. But the joke is, if I had a nickel for every racist thing I ever said, some Mexican would probably rob me. So, and that joke went
350,000.
to
Who would have thought?
so in answer to your question, I know it's 5 million on YouTube, and I'm guessing close to 1 million or so on Instagram. I don't know, because one thing I found for you that are doing this, or if you're into doing it, your daughter I think does. Instagram is more realistic,
Right.
meaning that I have 11,000 followers on YouTube, and I can put videos up that sit there at 4 or 5. Meanwhile, over at Instagram, I can do a joke and it's almost consistently the same number of followers I have.
Okay.
They're serving it up decently.
So I want to say thank you, Jeremy, because without him, maybe either one of us wouldn't be where we are today. So
Right. Well, Mark, I like I said, and for all of you out there, really, if you need a photographer, not only, and again, I'll include the links, not only is Mark a great photographer, but a great person. Because I think that that's so important, isn't it, Mark, when you're out doing a
It
wedding
is.
or even, yeah.
You got to be personal. My wife says I don't have a bit of introvert in me, and it's just finding out what's important to people, making some small chat, making them feel comfortable, and listening to what their needs are. Again, a wedding's a big day, and people putting their trust in me is quite the honor. So, and that's how I view it, not as a privilege. So yeah, so absolutely.
Well, but I think even, and again, we covered, your least favorite where you dropped it and your favorite moment down at the beach. But I would think that even, and this is just me being the comedy guy or trying to find humor and shit. Um, I would think some high school girl wanting her prom photos or whatever, that could be a little taxing.
Well, I again, my focus is weddings and senior photos. So again, that's fun stuff. Um, but yeah, I've only ever had one bridezilla, and
Like,
uh, and honestly, it wasn't me; it was her. If it was me,
no,
if
I,
if it was
I
me,
I
I'd take
guarantee
it.
it
But
wasn't you, Mark.
it
I
wasn't me; it
guarantee it
was
wasn't
her.
you.
She was upset that I didn't get her husband singing from four angles, and I had to remind her that they're still photos. It doesn't matter, what angle that they came from. They're still photos. Not going to move. You're not going to tell your husband, but it's okay. Customer's always right, Scotty T.
You're killing me, Mark. You're, you're it's too damn early. People don't know what time it is, and you're in Florida. So no, I just I I think right there is an example of you just cracked me up. I love people that make me laugh.
Absolutely. Well,
And
again,
it's
that's why I watch
hard.
you. That's why I watch you. The work, work's crazy. Life's crazy. And
Yeah.
comedy is how I think a lot of us get through it. And to be on your show, what an honor. You asked me.
Oh no. And
That,
I know you're a big music guy as well. You've done a lot of with 105.7 The X, you're buddies with those guys and promote
yes.
them, and you've gone to a lot of shows. But I also wanted to ask you because, and again, I told you when we started this, there's a couple things that I wanted to ask you that I don't know. I mean, I've known you
Sure.
7 years, but when I saw Michigan this year in the college, and they won the national championship, and I kept seeing that you post. Are you from? Did you go to, or you just like Michigan, or how did that come about?
I went to Catholic school, so I was expected to like Notre Dame. I lived in Pennsylvania my whole life, so it was either
Okay,
Notre
that's
Dame
another
or
question I had.
either Notre Dame or Penn State, and that's who
Yeah.
everyone liked. And if once I actually started out liking Michigan back during the Fab Five basketball, and
Okay.
when they Weber and all those guys were playing Michigan basketball, I really wasn't a huge football fan at that point in time,
Right.
but I needed something different than Penn State and something different than Notre
Yeah, I
Dame.
don't. I don't like Penn State. I don't
That's
like.
who I went with, Michigan, and had to wait a few years to get a championship, but a few stolen signs later, we're good to go.
What do you
So
think? What do you think? And I don't know if you're a pro football fan, but what do you think about Harbaugh going to the Chargers?
I think it's a good move. I think, like Seinfeld, speaking about comedy, you can go out when things are mediocre, or you can go out when you're on a high note, and he went out on a high note, so he's
What?
done everything.
What? The next question. You know what the next question is? Are you now going to be a Chargers fan?
I'm a fan of Harbaugh, not necessarily a Chargers fan. Just like I was a Brady fan, not
Okay.
necessarily a New England fan. So
Okay. What do you have? Are you a Ravens fan, or are
Philadelphia
you?
Eagles,
Okay, yeah, and I'm Eagles fan. I didn't know you were an
Philadelphia
Eagles fan.
Eagles. Yes,
Well,
sir.
this year was.
It's in the bag. It's in the bag. We got the yeah. We
I
crazy.
knew I knew we had problems with the Jets beat us. I said everyone was talking about how great the Eagles were. I said, "Oh, wait a
Yep.
second, hold on to your
There's a
helmet."
glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, a glitch in the matrix. Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to put the analogy on our season.
Absolutely, it was crazy.
Boy, at the end there, it was just terrible to watch.
It was. Yeah, I didn't
Well, and
appreciate.
we'll get off of football. You know, I love talking football, but do you have a prediction for the Super Bowl?
Taylor Swift is going to win the Super Bowl. That's my prediction. my 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 wife has a shirt that says I'm rooting for Taylor's
Oh my
boyfriend. So
God.
I think that says it all. Literally, it says I'm
Taylor
rooting for
Swift
Taylor.
is there. You've heard it here first. I know who's going to win the Super Bowl.
All right.
A team with the most points.
That is a good point. That is a good point. But yeah, God bless the Chiefs and some marketing. I saw an article that she made them an extra $330 million this year. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's what it is. Power of influence.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I personally I'm rooting for the 49ers, who I'm rooting for. If
Are
that
you?
was,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm rooting for them. And that's only
Yeah,
because I got a
I
buddy.
gotta admit, you know, there for Andy Reid, because if you're an Eagles fan, you know, I always wanted to see Andy do well. But now it's like, okay, you've had your share. It's
Right.
like you eating sandwiches, Andy. You had enough
Exactly.
now. Time for
Exactly.
somebody else to eat. Yeah,
Exactly.
I was rooting. I was actually rooting for the Lions really hard. I wanted to see the
Same.
Lions.
Same. Michigan had to throw allegiance by something, and it's just because they
Yeah.
were in the same state as Michigan. But yeah, it
Well, let's go
didn't work
back
out.
real quick, you know, because I don't want to keep you too long, Mark, but I did want to touch on, you know, the photography thing. You know, you talked about, do you have another favorite? Because that story you told about the beach, I think you said you had another favorite moment.
Well, I think the funniest moment, because you mentioned about a funny moment, and so
We can do that at the end if you want. Or you have a
okay,
second one loaded.
another favorite moment. Let me think. I think um my very first wedding. That was the same wedding that I
Where you
dropped
dropped the thing,
when I
yeah.
dropped the camera, and I was so distraught with that because I had a fixed lens. So there's telephoto lenses, then there's prime lenses, which
Right,
don't you're the telephoto. So I
right.
did. I ran up and down that aisle, got every photo, and I was so nervous delivering those photos to that bride and groom because I dropped my camera. I know I wasn't who I needed to be for that wedding, but they got those photos, and they called me to tell me how much they loved those photos. So even
Yeah,
though I was horrible in person as far as my
right.
mentality went, uh, they loved the photos. So put a little bit more into perspective. My wife tells me all the time, Mark, you're your own worst critic, and don't ever give
Yeah,
yourself enough credit.
yeah,
And that is
yeah,
true because I want better the next time, just like you're delivering jokes. You
yeah.
want that 360,000 the next time from that
Oh yeah, yeah.
350,000, and it's what we strive to do. So I am my own worst critic, but just to put it in perspective, that it wasn't about me, it was about them, and they loved those
Right.
photos, and it was a good feeling. So that's probably
Did
one of my
you say, just because I want to clarify, did you say, Mark, that you've done like 100 or more weddings?
yeah, probably somewhere between 1 and 200 weddings.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess the reason I'm sitting here shaking my head is I did, and you know, you've been on a lot of them. I just did my 103rd live show. And, you know, that's 30 minutes of me, you know, there's no edits, there's no, you know, it's just me live.
Right.
And I really, you know, Mark, you've been on a lot of them. And even this Thursday you were on where, you know, I try to have it, you know, I'm like you know, I think we're the same that way. We want it to be perfect. And
Absolutely.
boy, do I get angry after the show when the camera, like this Thursday, the camera was pointed the wrong way. It was right.
Right.
Yeah, it just, or the lighting or the sound, you know, I think I spend 5 minutes on each show going, is the sound okay? Is the lighting okay?
I think that's what made us click back when I first met you, 7 years ago, is we're a lot alike and in
Yeah.
that fashion. And I could tell that there was more than just a shell going through life. There was some spirit inside that body of yours. And
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
absolutely, yeah. And
And
it
vice
shows
versa.
it
Vice
shows on the
versa.
camera. So
You are salt of the earth. You're a wonderful young man. Well, let's again, I'm going to put all the links to making a mark photography. If you live, just to clarify, Mark, York, Lancaster, Harrisburg, will you go further? Have you done
I've done beach weddings. Yeah, pretty much wherever the need is, I would go. I've done
Okay.
Erie weddings,
Okay.
Erie, Pennsylvania. So
Yeah,
that's
I've been
5 hours. So yeah, the beach is 5 hours. So yeah,
I met a woman for, this is true. I met a woman named Susan Leftwich from Erie, Pennsylvania, and her birthday was on Halloween. She was the original voodoo woman.
fair enough.
Susan, if you're out there,
I
anyway,
see that sparkle in your eye, Scotty.
what's that?
I said I see that sparkle in your eye when you're talking about Susan. You know, I
Well,
do weddings just in
right.
case it works
She went
out.
Cheap Trick in the Stone Temple Pilots in Erie, and she was a big hit.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Let's do your favorite moment. And again, it's called Your Comedy Minute. And Mark, I told you go ahead and have something loaded up for me. So I know you're going to make me laugh. I'm already laughing.
Well, I'll tell you, it's I'm shooting a wedding, and I always partner with the bride and groom for the cake. You know, are you guys
Right.
smashers or are you guys feeders? You know, and
Okay.
this couple, she was adamant, don't you dare smash cake in my face. It's my wedding day. I'm gonna have my makeup done and all this stuff. And I'm really not sure where the lost in translation came from. So I'm standing there getting ready to take the photos of the cake smash, and she picks it up so delicately, and he's picking up so delicately, and then all of a sudden he smashes the cake in her face, Scott, right there. You should have seen the look of shock on her face right before she picked the top layer of cake up, and took that top layer of cake that they were supposed to put in their freezer and they were supposed to save for their anniversary,
She
1 year anniversary,
she
and have a
smashed
little
it
piece.
into his
She
face.
smashed that whole entire cake in his face, Scott. And my mouth was standing there hanging open like Scott, Scotty T just delivered the craziest joke I've ever heard.
Did you,
But I didn't even get a single photo of it. I didn't get a single photo of her
are you
smashing that entire.
serious?
I was in awe. I couldn't believe what I just saw because I never saw something like that in my whole entire life. And she smashed that whole entire cake, and it was down. And there was no cheering, no anything. Everyone just silent and then she took her finger and she licked some of it off her face, and then everyone was happy again. But I have to say, it was the funniest thing photography wise I've ever seen. I know it's not a joke, but
No, it doesn't have to be, Mark.
the
That's a
shock
great story.
factor, her
Great
delivery,
story.
and her look on her face of surprise after he did it, and just, all right, I'm going to sacrifice this whole entire layer of cake and smash in his face.
You know the burning question in my mind. Do you know what the burning question in my mind is?
Are they still together?
Exactly. There's
See,
why you and I are buddies.
they get me to take photos of them and their kids now. So they have kids. So now I'll do family photos. They're still together. They're still together. And
If you're, do you want to give a shout out to them? Do you want to take?
no, I'm gonna
Okay.
be good. I didn't clear it with them first,
Yeah,
but
right. No, I
if they
know.
see this, they'll know
It's
who
like
they are.
me
But
making Jeremy or Susan Leftwich. You know me. I don't
exactly,
give a shit. The hell with them.
exactly, it's all good.
What are they
But
gonna do?
yeah, but I kind of relate to her as I had a similar agreement with my wife, and we weren't going to smash cake, but
Did
she's
she?
she's a little more sparky than her
I
photo.
met your wife. I met
Yeah,
your wife.
yeah, I had it all over my face, but it's okay.
Did she do it?
Yeah, she puts up with me, so Scott, she can do what she wants.
Oh no, you're blessed to have such a beautiful young lady.
I am, honest to God, I
And
am. So
you just had a now how old is your boy's now what, 2 or 3?
he's 2. Yeah, he's 2,
Yeah,
and
he's getting big.
my daughter's 4. So
Okay.
yeah, and she's exactly like me, Scott. Imagine a lower version of me. Doesn't shut
Yeah.
up, asks 50 questions, doesn't know when to stop. Yeah, that's my daughter. He's chill. He's chill like mommy. So
Oh my God, Mark, you're making me laugh. I just, and I told you how much, and we'll give Jeremy one more shout out to thank him for allowing me to realize uh how important laughter is.
it absolutely is.
And going back to your story about the couple on the beach that you went down, and out of the goodness of your heart, you just said, "I'll shoot it. You don't have to pay me." And then you send them the pictures.
Sure.
It's the same thing with me. I get hammered all the time on Reddit about self-promotion, self-promotion. look, I'm just trying to make people laugh.
Exactly.
I made a damn penny doing this. I've lost money.
Exactly. And
You know, it's not
$350,000
about the
on,
money.
yeah,
It-
350,000 people, not dollars, but 350,000 people on Instagram apparently wanted to laugh as well. You said
yeah.
yourself, it's the worst joke you ever told. And at least on
That
at least on
joke
a
I
live,
said,
at
that
least on
joke
a
I said
live,
the other night was pretty bad.
it was pretty bad. Yeah. Well,
I think there was another one I sent you recently where you were like, oh God. No, I typed it out. Really dark joke.
yes.
The dark joke I did on Thursday's show was pretty bad.
Oh, I was there. And if you're
Do you
watching this,
remember
if
it,
you
the
haven't
last
seen
one?
Thursdays, if you haven't seen Thursdays live, you need to go back. You need to go back and watch that. I was like, oh, there goes the plug. YouTube's kicking them off again. It was good knowing you, Scotty T. I did. I started saying my goodbyes. So
Should I do it for
if
the
you're here
nice
seeing
people,
this
Mark?
and you haven't seen that joke, go back. You got to watch it.
Should I do it for the nice people? I don't want to mess up your show, but I'll be glad to do it for the nice
I
people.
think you make him go back and look at it. I think you make
Okay,
him go
all right,
back and check it out. We're gonna leave him
that's
hanging.
a little vile for the making a Mark photography promo video.
Right.
Yeah, I got
But
you.
I
I
appreciate
got
you
you.
having me on more than you know. You've
Yeah,
always been supportive
for people
of
who
my
don't
photography.
know, we're going to wrap this up real quick, and I totally forgot to mention this. Mark, for the first like 2 years that I was doing this, or whatever, Mark did some Marky the Elf videos,
Yes, I did.
and now
They didn't help the
I
algorithm
tried
though.
to coax him back into doing it this year, but he didn't do it. I think part of that was Mark got some of that love from the people. I can't understand this guy. I don't understand, what is he saying?
Something about a nuclear bomb on the North Pole. It was the one comment. I was like, oh, this is a rough crowd.
I still have some that are like, why? What is this? What were you thinking? Don't ever show this guy again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's okay.
And when they go back to look at the joke, they go back and type in Marky the Elf, and you'll see, I bet you there's 40 or 50 videos up.
I had my feelings removed back in 1998, so I wasn't offended. This world's too harsh. I don't need feelings getting in the way.
Well, let's wrap it up and hang out for a second. I want to stop the recording, but please hang out for a second, okay?
Absolutely.
Again, for everyone in in this area, or anyone that needs a photographer with just a big heart and a great smile that will make your experience so much better, rather than just hiring any photographer, Mark Mcintyre is your guy. Mark, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Hang out for a second, okay? I'm just going to stop the recording. I'm just going to stop the recording, okay?
And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now.
Mark, if do you, I don't know. Well, and just to finish up, you may be doing videos, so I may be working with you on YouTube and trying to help out your YouTube channel.
There you go. They can't get any worse.
That's what I say every day. Thanks again, Mark. Hang out for a second, okay?
Thanks, Scott.